All right. We are starting on the hour. It is 6 p.m. here in Western Australia, where I'm from. So welcome to Perth Impact Entrepreneurs June webinar. And this is Terry Vincent, your host, and super excited to be back here again. It's getting a bit of a habit with some of us, all catching up twice a month. I love these opportunities to be able to bring amazing people to you guys and to be able to share some wisdom and support you on your journeys in your businesses. So this week, without any doubt, is not different than any others. We have one of the most amazing people, and I'm going to introduce you to Dan in a moment. First and foremost, when we get to the end of this, you would have received an email, and in that email it did say that the first 10 to register for this go in a draw to have 15 minutes. The first 10 that go in the draw can win 15 minutes with Dan. So it's an opportunity for you to actually find out how you could optimize your presence on camera and to go through those things that you may need support with, which you're going to learn about tonight as well. So super excited to announce that as we get towards the end, and also to tell you a little bit more about our amazing membership program that we launched on our webinar last time. So anyway, this is not a long webinar. We're only got 30 minutes. So I do want to actually introduce Dan. So I'll just get the screen share to stop so that we can bring Dan in. So Dan Cordle, this amazing man. I had the pleasure of meeting you about a month ago or so. And to give a bit of an introduction about who you are so that these lovely people know, you are an actor. Mm-hmm. You've been in theatre, film and television, which is phenomenal. And you've also been part of the New York University faculty where you were teaching, and you've run lots of workshops, and you've just working with speakers and a lot of different things. And I've heard this a lot, where there's some people that go from being an actor, behind the camera, to actually teaching people presence behind the camera. And it's not so much teaching actors so much now, but you're on here to be able to support these amazing business people how to be present. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, that's true. What I was surprised and pleased to discover is that entrepreneurs and performing artists have a lot in common. And the first time I trained entrepreneurs was at this organization called Heroic Public Speaking, and I was, not sure what to expect. And then I found out that entrepreneurs have the same kind of imagination, and by and large, tend to be people who are optimistic and into new ideas, and that's very much like actors are in models as well. So the work that I've done with actors applies very much to the interests of entrepreneurs on camera, as well as in live performance.
Yeah, and it's that's the thing. I think that a lot of people that get behind a camera, from an entrepreneurial perspective, think they have to be an actor, though. And what's the biggest thing, the difference I get from my own perspective, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is when you're acting, you're playing a part, you're playing a role, but when you're an entrepreneur, you're playing yourself.
Well, that's a very interesting, what you raised is very interesting, because there are a couple of different approaches to performance on camera and in live situations for both entrepreneurs and actors. So, and so when I say actors at this point, you can just hear it's interchangeable with entrepreneurs, okay? So historically, what actors have done is follow a kind of theatrical model for an approach to performance, which has involved becoming a character, right? So that the character is something that's outside of you that you have to become in order to tell the story in a way that will be pleasing for the audience. And many entrepreneurs feel they have to become something outside of themselves in order to be successful, in order to offer their best service, in order to be of value to the people they serve. That's one approach. And it's so interesting that, that both actors and entrepreneurs think that way. And it's an approach that works. However, it doesn't work all the way. And it doesn't work as well on camera as it works in a live setting. In a live setting, you are further from the audience typically, and you have to be more expressive to really have an impact than you do on camera. When you're on camera, like we are now, it's extremely intimate. I mean, I'm as close to you as you are to me when you think about it.
Yeah.
And the kind of performing that we do with this kind of intimacy is much more like film acting. And I know that all of us have our favorite film actors, and we have a relationship with those people. So let me just pick one at random. George Clooney, okay? I have a relationship with George Clooney, even though I've never met him. George Clooney is the same in every movie that he does. And what he does, which is so successful, is he is himself exquisitely, as are so many of the other film actors. That's not to say there aren't some actors that do real stretches, like Meryl Streep has in the past. However, they're very good at being themselves, and that's a different skill. So as a film actor, you bring the role to yourself. As a theater actor, you go toward the role.
Mhm.
And the ability to do both is really key. So if I'm pretending to be something that I'm not, I would have to be so good for you to glean that from this interaction. You would really, I mean, I can't do it. You know, I could maybe do it from 60 feet away, but not here. It's important when you're on camera to be as true to who you are, as authentic as possible, because that's the best way you can help other people and the best way you can help yourself. So that's very interesting. It's, you know, okay, here's another thing related to that question. Let's say that you're trying to become this thing that you're not in order to be perfect and to best serve people and to grow your business. Well, that implies that there is this perfect idea, right? That there is an ideal that you could possibly achieve. And what I know about ideals is that if there is, for instance, an ideal chair, let's say, that would mean that there is only one ideal and that there's only one chair to become. And applying that to a person, that would mean there's only one kind of person. So really, to achieve this ideal, we would all have to look and sound exactly the same and say the same things. And that's not how life works. Because the truth about existence, that at least from my perspective, is that every wave that rolls onto the beach is different. Every snowflake is different. And because of those differences, because of that unique quality that they each share, they're all beautiful. So if you apply those ideas to your presence on camera, it starts to open things up. You start to look at yourself as being naturally valuable, that we all have these special things about ourselves that if we can share them, will be of enormous value to other people. So that's kind of like, that's not how I was planning on talking about on-camera presence, but it's true. So if you approach it from that point of view of what can I offer of myself that will be of the greatest service and value to other people and to myself, how can I best do that? And it turns out that the way to do it is, you know, to begin with yourself and then to bring in aspects of yourself in ways that have the greatest impact on people. And some of those are technical. So when we encounter people, like let's say that we encounter each other in person, we strike each other on a sensory level, right? We look at each other, we see each other, and based on what we see, things begin to happen. In each other's presence, we might get a sense of a physical presence with our other senses. We hear each other, right? In person, we can we can touch each other. There may be a smell, right? And whenever we meet people in person, all those things come together to present us with a feeling, right? A feeling of who the person is. Here on camera, it's kind of limited to what you see and what you hear, right? The other senses are not so much at play, although there are other things that might be occurring to us, like memory, memory of people, associations based on how we look or what our spaces are. So all of these things are really turn out to be really key. And once I know that everything you're seeing and hearing has an impact, I get to choose how to be in this time and how to present not just myself, but my space. All of that is incredibly important, especially now, because things have changed and we may be meeting on video for a little while before we get to see each other in person. But all of these interactions are just laying the groundwork for the moments when we do get to be in person. And so it's really important, you know, to take care of these moments and not to treat them as if they're disposable.
I think, I mean, at the moment, considering what is going on, it has brought so many people to a position where we are communicating like this because we haven't had a choice. So, you know, like whether it's a coach that's coaching their clients or someone in another business that is communicating, an accountant maybe that's communicating with their client because their tax is due. So they've got to get that information. They haven't been able to catch up in person. That
Right.
is relevant to right now, but for so many, video is relevant in so many ways because it's like a promotional opportunity and people relate more, I believe, I mean in person obviously, but I believe they relate more to the ability to be able to connect with a person online, even if it's a video for promotion. So based on that, there's, you know, everyone in my view, whether no matter what happens in the future, is that everyone has a potential with this. So why is it? And I've experienced this myself in the past, and I've experienced so many going through having videos filmed. Why is it that that round thing, that black round thing, is so scary?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, people have this idea that the camera sees everything. The truth is we all see everything. We all do. The same thing happens when you meet somebody in person, except it feels more like an improvisation because you're having an impact on them as they're having an impact on you, and you're not as aware of it. In order for you to see into people, you have to open yourself. You can't be closed and see into people. And as soon as you open yourself to somebody, they see into you. And that happens as much on camera as it does in person. So the remarkable thing about the camera is that it's just a tool. It's just, that's all it really is. all it is a pair of, like, it's like an eye, you know, it enables other people to be with you. So these are in-person meetings. I mean, these are every bit as real as when you meet other people in person. It's not as good as when you do, but that impediment to it being as good should encourage you to bring everything you can to make it as real as possible, just like you would if you were in person. So everybody who is in this room looks younger than me, right? But everybody that's here is of a generation that is getting used to being on camera. You know, we're not like the millennials or whatever they are, younger than that, you know, who spend all their time on their phones and video chatting. They're used to it. They're less used to being in person, right? We have that superpower. We can be in person. And we can be extremely effective on the telephone. We can be effective when we talk to each other. Many of us are effective with letter writing. And where we're more challenged is in this video thing. But, you know, the great thing that's going to happen is in 6 months, we're going to have that superpower too if you apply it, just like they do. We're going to be making our TikTok videos, right? we're, we're on Instagram, we've been on Facebook, and we'll be on to the next thing. So this is bringing everybody together in a great way. And the good news is that, you know, we're being forced to do it, right? But we will get back to the being in person with people, and this is going to create those opportunities in a way that it never has before for our generation. Because once we figure this out, people are going to rush back together, and they're going to rush back together with the impressions they get of us on camera. So it's a great time to do this. And rather than be afraid of this thing that we have to do, why not say, you know, let's see what we can do with this thing? Because there was a day, I've read this, when the telephone was invented, that our great grandparents were like, I can't use this thing. You know what I mean? People should just come over, right? They were so flummoxed by the telephone. They didn't know how to do it, but their kids were on the phone nonstop. So, you know, we get to choose the experience we have. Our, you know, let's be open to it and see what we can make of it. You know, so I find that exciting. Does that answer your question? I feel like I just went off the rails.
No, this is awesome. I'm sure everyone's getting massive value out of this. And, you know, the biggest thing that I find is that, and you're a photographer too, obviously you're
yes. Yeah.
in magazines.
Is anybody here uncomfortable of being on camera? Is that like I mean, it's totally fine. You are, yeah, okay. Well, I will divulge a little bit of my experience. I was a theater actor when I was younger. I did not feel comfortable having my picture taken. I mean, I was so self-critical of the way I looked and the way I sounded that I stuck to the theater and I hid behind characters. I was very good at in-person communication, very good at improvisation, very good at talking to people on the street, but put a lens in front of me, I couldn't do it. And I was behind the camera. When I wasn't acting, I was working as a photographer. That taught me a lot. Then I started working as a teacher. And then I thought, maybe I can teach people how to act on camera. And I learned how to do that. And so I still couldn't do it. And then the day came, you know, when people started I started helping people with video conferencing and these kinds of things. And I knew I had to do direct address. I had to look at the camera and I had to help people. And the desire to help people overcame my fear. I just said, okay, I'm going to help people. And to do that, I have to tolerate my discomfort. Now, what I know about discomfort, what I know about feelings of anxiousness that we might have is that we can't sustain them.
Dan?
Yep.
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I left off where?
It was only a brief second.
Okay, so what I know about anxiety on camera, what I know about anxiety in life is that if there is no true danger, we cannot sustain it. We can't. So if I look at a camera, if I look at the lens long enough, the feelings of anxiety will diminish. There is no way around it. I can't sustain it. So if you just practice it enough, it happens, right? I saw a documentary on a person who was afraid of feathers. Believe it or not, happens. This person had a terror of feathers, couldn't stand them for whatever reason. And so the therapist had a feather in a box and said, all you have to do is stand at the door. There's a feather in the box. And that person had to tolerate their discomfort. And then they relaxed. I said, okay, take a step into the room. And it was suddenly, you know, terrified. And the feather is in the box, right? And of course, this progression kept going until the person was holding the feather in their hand and smiling. So this feeling about fear, I mean, it goes away, even if you don't work on it from the perspective of what's actually happening, you know. It's a Buddhist concept that a way to get over your own sadness is to help other people. And a way to get over fear of the camera is to help other people. Put yourself aside, help, right? Help them. A way to run a business is not to think about how much money I'm going to make, but how can I best help people, right? So change your perspective. Your power is your perspective when it comes to many things, including, this endeavor. I'm going to be of the greatest service to do that. I'm going to overcome my fear. And we can do it.
We can. There's actually, this is going to take us off track, but maybe not. There's some questions coming through on the chat.
Okay.
So I'm going to read some out, just some comments and questions. Jackie says she's married to a photographer, so have no choice being comfortable in front of the camera, although it says I'm the worst model. That's funny. And then Kathy Shepherd agrees. A question. Oh, there's someone that's asking the question, and this is more the self-critical, coming from the self-critical side. Like, if my teeth don't look perfect on camera,
Right.
in front of a video of a camera, what's the best way to present better?
Well, okay, so what I would say is, as a performer, right? I mean, I work as an actor and as a model. And what I try to do in terms of my on-camera performance, whether I'm doing either, is I try to first of all accept, my situation as it is in the present. And then I make some determinations about what I can or can't change, what I want or want not to change. It involves a lot of reflection. Some things I can change. Like, as a model, I have to keep myself within a couple of pounds, and I have to look a certain way to get more work. And so I do that work. I have to show up in a good way. So I show up in a good way. But there are other things that I just can't change. And nor do I want to, because those things make me unique. I've had people tell me, don't change that, right? Don't you dare. We love that imperfection. And so who we are gives people, it's our imperfections are what people hold on to. That gives them an in, right? It's My Funny Valentine. Anybody know that old standard? My Funny Valentine. Is your figure less than Greek? Is your smile a little weak? When you open it to speak, are you smiling? Right? It's the mystery of who we are as individuals. So we have the fear, right, of what people will think of us. And that fear can keep us, can put up the gates, right? Close the windows and say, no, don't you dare see me, right? Because you won't, you'll see something you don't like and that I don't like, right? Or you could say, look, this is me, take it or leave it. And if you take it, you're with me. And if you leave it, it just means there's somebody else for you. That's all. And there is that thing I learned from entrepreneurs, which is your ideal client. Identify your ideal client. Who are they? Don't worry about the people that aren't the ideal. There are plenty of other people that can serve them, right? Our ideal clients are the people who are best served by us. They're our people. And so by being myself on camera, in person, I identify my ideal clients more quickly. And the people who aren't right for me get to find that out fast too, and then they get served by somebody else. So it doesn't really matter what you look like. It's where your heart is, really.
And my saying with that is what other people think of me is none of my business, unless you're right, unless they're our avatar. And I'm not here to be loved by everyone. I'm just here to make a difference. And that's the key thing. I think it's really getting out of our own way a little bit with it as well. Okay, so we've got Himley. He said, how can we be convincing in our message in front of the camera to our target audience, apart from being authentic? Are there any Hollywood tips? Does that make sense?
Yes, there are. Okay, so there are technical things you can do to be more convincing. So let me delve into the technical a little bit, because I've talked a lot about performance and the emotional part of this. What you're looking at when you look at me, I don't know if I'm on the big screen for you guys or if I'm just like one of the little Brady Bunch people. But what you're looking at, believe it or not, is a two-dimensional image. So it's very flat. And what I've done with the resources I have in this tiny space, which is actually an audio booth, is I've tried to create an image that appears to be more three-dimensional, because people like 3 dimensions. That's our existence. That's what we like. If I can create something that looks more three-dimensional, you'll feel it's more real, right? And I want you to know it's real because that's who I am. I'm a real person. Now, if you're drawing an apple on a table, if you just do a stick apple, right, it's two-dimensional. But if you learn how to shade that apple on the side a little bit, like I am here, right, it gives dimension. It starts to make your eye think that you're looking at something that's round. 3 dimensions. Now, what you see three-dimensionally strikes you intellectually and emotionally as three-dimensional. You start to have associations, memories, insights. You start to look into things when they have dimension. And so what we want to do is create a three-dimensional experience for people in a visual way and also in an audio way, right? My audio isn't perfect this morning, but it's better than most. And it's because I've committed some attention to it. If I can make my audio sound a little bit more real to you, a little bit more present, it will help you. It will help us connect.
Yeah.
Now, visually, there are things that happen, which all you have to do is go to a museum to figure that out, or look at great photographs. Where do our eyes tend to go in life? As human beings, our eyes always go to the horizon. The horizon is right here where my eyes are, based on how most of us stand. So we can compose our video images and our imagery so that it matches the human experience. So there's something called the rule of thirds in photography. My eye is on one of those thirds, right? There's a line here, there's a line here, giving me 3 sections. The horizon line, if you're standing out there looking at the beach, right? Your eye will always go to where the water meets the sky. And that's where my eyes are. So I'm helping you. I'm making it easy for you. And I'm making it easy for myself for us to connect. Now, the horizon line is fine. If I go over here, there are also these thirds. There's a here and here, okay? So right now, this is fighting me a little bit, so I'll take that away. Okay, so here I am. Sorry, I gotta make sure you can hear me. Here I am looking this way, right, on an intersection, right, I'm like right there. And your eye naturally, for most people, will go here, right there. So I've got my audio going. I've got my lighting going, which at the moment is just this little clip light reflected off of a white binder. That's all I've got going on. I'm in my audio booth because this is my office at the moment. And the fact of what you're seeing is informing you, right? I've got my headphones, which I chose not to wear because I thought if I do this, I'll seem like a little bit too of a techie, you know what I mean? And I'm not, I'm actually not at all. But the microphone is here because it has to be. And this, the way I'm dressed, the way I look, the dark background, which is kind of like striking everybody as infinite space, is all having an impact on us emotionally. Me too. So it all, we see everything, just like the camera sees everything. I see everything in your spaces. And it all has an impact on me, all of it. If I showed up at your house and you open the door and you're wearing a beautiful gown, or let's say a tuxedo, I'll be like, oh my, you know what I mean? This is either a special occasion or this is a special person, right? They wear gowns or tuxedos in the house. If I show up and you're in your pajamas, it's like, oh my goodness, you know, look how comfortable they are that they meet me in their pajamas. Or maybe, you know, does that make sense? So we do see everything. And so we want to apply that. When we meet people on video, we are bringing them into our space. Okay, this is the last thing I really wanted to make sure I get in. There's a huge component of hospitality in what we do on camera. When you go online with somebody in video, you are bringing them into your space and you can treat them with enormous hospitality. If you come over to my house, I don't have many resources, but let's say that I have a nice cup of tea, right? I give you the tea I have, and all I have is a carpet on the floor, but we sit on the carpet, and I treat you with great hospitality. I treat you like you're special, which you are, right? You will be happy to come back, even if it's a mud hut, and you will want me to come to your space. So if you approach it from a place just of hospitality, of caring for people, of caring for that basic need, I wish we had gotten into the needs, because that's actually something I talk about a lot. Hospitality, companionship, food, right? All of the basic needs come into play when we're communicating. And you can use them all when you're doing on camera or live performance. And those really strike people in a very, very deep way. So in this time of coronavirus, of a pandemic, people's need for companionship is being challenged. And it really is. It's a basic need. And we are all suffering from a lack of a basic need. I mean, to one degree or another. I have children, I get hugs, but some of my friends don't. Mm-hmm. So this, what we're doing, is a stopgap in some ways, just for this problem. I mean, on top of it, we're wearing masks. Air is a basic need, and we're compromising it a little bit. So what we're doing is not just important for part of our business, it's important beyond our business. It's important during a time of a pandemic and beyond. This is giving us an opportunity to help ourselves and other people on a very important level.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. And we are so out of time.
Sorry.
No, that's perfectly fine. I'm sure everyone would be more than happy if we kept going. And there's a series of questions that are being asked. So, but what's happening is, and before I just finish off, our membership program that we've got, that I announced last time, what's happening for all of you is we've invited Dan to come and be part of our summit. So our summit is actually where we're bringing in 3 speakers to give value to you guys. And like I said, that's part of the membership. So if you're a member, you actually get more time with Dan when he comes back, and that will be in towards the end of July. That will be happening. So we'll be letting you know that date. So please do consider that. I know that I've had a call with you and you've helped me, and I'm still waiting for my camera to arrive, and I'm still waiting for my lights to arrive so that I can set up for my more professional for my programs. But doing it like this, I mean, it's so magic what you've shared with everyone, and being able to give that value and just the simplicity. And I know that the questions that have been asked, I know you'd love to answer right now, and unfortunately we don't have time to get to them. But on that note, just quickly, thank you so much for your time, Dan, and I seriously look forward to you coming back and sharing some more wisdom with these lovely people. And you know, they're obviously, everyone that's listening now is experiencing exactly what we're talking about because they're on the Zoom. So thank you so much for sharing, and I'll just make sure everyone, before they go, I want to announce the winner of, and I'll get Annalise to put in the chat, and the winner is, so everyone get into the chat. I meant to get you to go into the chat at the beginning, sorry. And get in there and have a look at who our winner is that wins that time with Dan, and we'll make sure that we connect you. And the winner is Cedric Lee. Awesome, Cedric, well done. And I know that he's absolutely going to love this. So it's a phenomenal opportunity. So thank you very much. And for everyone that, like I said, that wants to have that opportunity with Dan that wasn't the winner, and come back and you know, our membership is just such crazy value for such a low investment. And all you need to do, what Annalise has done, she's put my Calendly link in there. She's going to put the link to the landing page on the membership if you need to know more about that. Click on these links now so that you've got them saved. Book a call with me. Let me run through what it is that you will get. And like I said, you would join just to get more of Dan.
Thank you so much. I just want to say, before this shuts off, it's really great to spend time with all of you. Really great to see people And I hope you all have a great evening.
Thanks, Dan. It's been amazing. I can't thank you enough. So I'm sorry that we didn't get to answer everyone's questions, and like I said, but there'll be an opportunity in the future. So on that note, thank you so much everyone for coming along. I look forward to our next one. We have got Adam Houlihan, who's a LinkedIn expert, who's coming to share, this is why this is important too, because being on camera, you can do that on LinkedIn as well. So on that note, I would love to bid everyone a beautiful evening, morning, whatever time of day it is for you. And I'll speak to you all soon. Thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Take care.